Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thanksgiving Day football. I'm Jeff Brandon, along with Greg Fry, and today it's the Eagles of Norristown taking on the Colonials of Plymouth-Whitemarsh in a newly constituted Thanksgiving Day rivalry. This is the third incarnation of the battle. So far, Greg, it's PW 1, Norristown 1. Today, the short tiebreaker 3 years into this Thanksgiving Day matchup. Not a terribly nice day, though, for it.
Yeah, it's really a shame, too, because this is the first year that Norristown and PW, in this Thanksgiving Day rivalry, are going at each other as league opposition. And this is going to be a matchup that's really going to test two of the Suburban 1 Freedom Division's powerhouses. And, of course, this has league title implements.
Absolutely. Norristown, if they should win this game today, would capture the Suburban 1 League Liberty Division crown outright. Should the Colonials manage to win today, then it's going to be a three-way tie between Norristown, Penn Ridge, and Plymouth-Whitemarsh. The Eagles, of course, already having earned a share of the title, coming into this game at 9-2. Their only league loss to Upper Dublin, and of course then the playoff loss 2 weeks ago to North Penn. The Colonials coming into this game have lost two straight, Greg. They've got a record of 8-3 so far this year, and a perennially strong team. Coach Joe Iacovetti always puts a great group of kids onto the field, but this game would be a tough loss for them, finishing the season with 3 straight losses.
And PW is a team that had visions of the title. They saw that loss that Norristown had to Upper Dublin this year, and they thought to themselves, that was the opening we needed. All they had to do was beat Penn Ridge, and losing that game to Penn Ridge really left a bitter taste in their mouth. So they're going to want to come out, and they're going to want to at least get the tie in the league for the title. And this is something that PW prides himself on. They're a very proud football team, as is Norristown. So there's going to be a lot of battling and a lot of hard hitting today.
Absolutely, and of course those 3 losses the Colonials had, they had a season opening loss to LaSalle in an interconference game, interleague game between the Catholic League and the Suburban 1 League. That was a 14-0 shutout, the hands of a very good LaSalle team. Then, as Greg just mentioned, the tough loss to Penn Ridge, which was really for a playoff berth in the district competition. Penn Ridge winning that game 14-7, and then the Colonials dropping a 42-34 decision last week against Coatesville. And Greg, coming into this game, Norristown has really been a powerhouse this year, probably the best Norristown team in recent memory. They have shut out their opponents 7 times. That's phenomenal.
This is something that this team came into the year. They didn't know the offense, what this offense was going to do. Of course, you knew you had talent in Troy Swittenberg and Audley Stewart and, the talented receivers, a pretty good offensive line. But the defense was something that, this team really said to themselves, this is what we're going to base our team on this year. Of course, putting up scores of 30, 39, and 46, and 41, scores like that, you look and you say, well, how does this team have offensive troubles? But this is a team that, really they like to get at it on defense. They like to shut teams out, and they'll play you for 4 quarters.
Well, it's interesting. The 2 losses that the Eagles have this year, one was a 22-21 upset to Upper Dublin. The other, the playoff loss, 28-27. There are 2 losses by a collective 2 points, the bare minimum, and the only games in which the Eagles have given up more than 7 points. You mentioned me coming into the stadium today. Very instructive. Even in the other 2 Norristown victories, the non-shutout victories, it was only 7 points that the Eagles gave up. They have just been phenomenal on defense.
And this is a team that gets, you could almost call it overconfident. They lost 47-7 against beat Cheltenham 47-7, earlier on in the season, and that was when their shutout streak ended at 5 or 6 games. Can't remember which one it was, but I remember talking to a couple of the players, and they were disappointed that they gave up that touchdown. They weren't happy about a 40-point win, but they were disappointed that they gave up points. It's amazing the confidence that defense has, and the confidence that they have to think that they can shut down anybody in the state.
Well, I'll tell you, they've certainly done the job this year. Out on the field, you just saw the Norristown captains and the Colonial captains with the toss of the coin. The Colonials won the toss, and they elected to defer, so Norristown will receive the ball to begin the game. They'll be defending the goal line to the left of your screen. The Eagles in their home all-blue uniforms, the Colonials in white. And, Greg, I expect this to be, although it's a terribly rainy and miserable day, I expect this to be a hard-hitting, well-played game. Certainly you can't account for how the conditions will have an impact on the quality of play, fumbles, drop passes, etc. But these are 2 very good, talented ball clubs, and I expect a great game.
The other thing we haven't talked about is that, we mentioned before that this is Norristown's first year in this league. PW wants to show them that, they still are the kings of this league. They want to, they have a little bit of a pride factor here saying, you can't come into our league and just take over. And this is what PW, I'm sure Coach Iacovetti has mentioned that on the PW sideline, and that, this is a game that they want to win. This is one that they'll remember for their last game of the year.
Absolutely, and there's certainly a talented bunch of seniors on the field for both teams this year. The one that stands out for the Eagles, of course, the one you read about on the headlines each day, is standout running back Troy Swittenberg. Swittenberg, just an incredible career at Norristown, approaching 5,000 yards for his career. No Norristown running back has ever done that, and that's a long list of very talented running backs. He is already the school's all-time rushing leader, and we'll be looking at the statistics today to see if he can notch the 45 yards he needs to go over the 5,000 barrier for his career. It's a low kick. They kick it short. It's taken by Audley Stewart at about the 15-yard line. Stewart brings it right up the middle, slips one tackle, and he's wrestled to the ground at about the 38-yard line. So the Eagles will take over 1st and 10 from their own 38 after a nice return by Audley Stewart.
Let's run down the lineups for you today. Audley Stewart, the man who just brought back the kick, he, of course, is the quarterback of this team. Troy Swittenberg and Lou Somber are the men in the backfield. James Edmonds and Ernie Terrell are the very talented receivers for that Norristown team. Look for Edmonds to find them a little bit today. Trey Hadrick, a great tight end. And across the line, Jameel Butler, Matt DePiro, Chris Durant, Kirk Berry, and Donovan Palmer.
We'll give you those Colonial starters on defense in just a moment, but as we have our first play from scrimmage, the Norristown wideouts are set to the right, the backs in the I formation. Stewart, the handoff to Swittenberg. He goes around the right side. He's tripped up nicely in the backfield by number 32 for the Colonials. That's Tim Fleming in on the tackle. Nice job by Fleming.
And Fleming is a very talented linebacker, been mentioned in the papers a lot this year. Andrew Piacitelli, Matt Ramey, Jermaine Little, and Walt Horton are across the line. A.J. Carter, Justin Pratt, and Tim Fleming are the linebackers. Joe Fritz and Elzer Camper, Steve Fulmer, and Chris Frank make up the defensive backfield for PW.
That first play netted Norristown 2 yards, so it's 2nd and 8 from about their own 41-yard line. This time the pitch to Swittenberg to the near side. Good penetration by the Colonials, and Swittenberg dropped for a loss on the play. It's going to bring up 3rd and 10 for Norristown. I'll tell you, Greg, that's a tough play to the short side of the field.
Norristown's run it successfully this year. This is something that, of course, with Swittenberg, you can run to the near side, the far side. You can run any side you want. But PW knows that they run that short side play successfully. If you jam that side a little bit, it's going to clog things up. And sometimes, even with 10 blockers, you just can't get enough room to free your running back.
Greg, on offense this year, we talk a lot about Troy Swittenberg. But I'll tell you, Audley Stewart, a great ball carrier in his own right, and he has really stepped up to the plate this year, filling in for Chris Blake, who was certainly a pure passing quarterback. And Stewart's done it both ways, on the ground and through the air. And there he does go to the air, rolls left, throws across his body, wide open through the middle, breaking a tackle. Number 17, James Edmonds, a big first down for Norristown into Colonial territory down to the 39-yard line.
Well, there's about 5 things you can talk about there. Number 1, the composure of Audley Stewart to roll out of there, get the quarterback moving. That's what Norristown's tried to do this year. You talk about James Edmonds, the amazing strength by that receiver. It's amazing how tall and how strong he is, gives cornerbacks a lot of fits, but great protection by that offensive line. Make sure Stewart had time to look up, and with the wet ball, it's tough, and he did a nice job of keeping himself composed.
This time, Stewart on the keeper. The block out front by Swittenberg frees up Stewart for about a 3 or 4 yard pickup. We'll see where the officials spot the ball. Nice job by Troy Swittenberg to land a key block there on that quarterback keeper.
And the one thing you talked about, Jeff, Audley Stewart being a running back, he's done a nice job this year. Chris Blake at no point in his life was a running back. Audley Stewart was a running back last year for this football team. He's done a nice job of maturing into the quarterback spot, and he will look to throw and he'll look to run. He does both very well, whereas sometimes you get a quarterback that used to be a running back that sometimes, just looks to run. Audley Stewart can do both.
The Eagles from just outside the Colonial 35-yard line, a long count. This time the quick hit to Swittenberg off the left side. Swittenberg picks up perhaps 4 more. Looks to be 3rd and 2 for the Eagles. Got a timeout on the field. Officials timeout for an injured player. Down on the ground looks like wide receiver Ernie Terrell. He seems to be favoring a leg, Greg.
Ernie Terrell great receiver for this Norristown team. He caught a touchdown pass last week, actually from fellow receiver Ricky Preet. They ran a wide receiver pass. Ernie Terrell has that great breakaway speed, and we've talked about it a lot of these weeks because you do see it. Norristown does like to take a couple chances deep to him each game. So a threat in the Norristown lineup that, you know, this is something that Coach Grove is now going to have to look at if Ernie Terrell is out for a few plays.
Trainer Dennis Flynn out there with some of his colleagues, and Terrell seems to be favoring his left knee. Tough to tell exactly from up here, but it's certainly his left leg that's causing the problems out there. Coach Grove taking a minute to speak with Audley Stewart on this second third down play of the drive. Third down and a long 2 for Norristown from just outside the 30-yard line of Plymouth-Whitemarsh.
And Jeff, you have to think coming into this game that Norristown is the favorite. Obviously, you know, with the 7 shutouts and all the talent that they have on the offensive side of the ball, even though they are the favorites, you have to say that they wanted to come into this game and establish a drive at the beginning to show PW, you know, we are the favorites. You have to play up about 3 levels to beat us.
It's impressive that Norristown able to successfully go to the air early in this game. It is very wet, and there's Terrell up off the ground and walking off the field under his own power, which is wonderful to see. Seems to be okay. Perhaps just a strain, but able to go up to the air successfully, Greg, on a miserable day and complete a nice play. And Stewart again throwing across his body, a tough formation for your first passing play on a miserable rainy day.
Well,
you would expect, Greg, that the game would be on the ground.
That was the problem they had in the Upper Dublin game. They couldn't mix up their offense. That is one of the factors that they might have lost that game.
The pitch to Swittenberg. Oh, he is hitting the backfield. He's going to be short of the first down. Great penetration by the Colonials. Coming out of the bottom of that pile, number 1, Chris Frank, along with number 32, Tim Fleming. A loss on the play will bring up 4th down for Norristown. Yeah, call it 4th and 3 for the Eagles from the 32-yard line. I'll tell you, great penetration. That pitch has met with some fierce resistance early in this game.
And all it requires is defensive, you know, linemen and cornerbacks staying in their lane, and linebackers pursuing the play. Great defensive, you know, concentration there by PW.
So deep in Colonial territory, the Eagles elect to go for the first down. Stewart on the play action slips and falls. Well, I'll tell you what, that play materialized very slowly. Audley Stewart not very happy with himself there, but the field conditions obviously playing a factor. Stewart, trying to keep firm footing, really had to gingerly run to the outside there on that play action, and then he just couldn't get set, fell down, and that's a 4th down stop for the Colonials. They'll take over on their first offensive possession.
And Audley Stewart is at his best when he's rolling out and moving. He's a very good quarterback when he's doing that. Unfortunately, on a wet day, it's tough to roll out a quarterback because, like you said, Jeff, the conditions are not as good as you'd like them to be.
With that loss, the Colonials 1st and 10 from their own 39-yard line. The handoff goes off the left side. Looks like a goal line play there. Number 27 is the ball carrier, Justin Pratt. So Pratt picks up perhaps a yard, almost 2. It'll be 2nd down and 8. The offense for the Colonials, at quarterback is number 5, Steve Fulmer. In the backfield, number 1, Bob Travellini, joined by Pratt and any number of other folks. We expect to see John DiPolito and Chris Frank back there as well. The standout wide receiver is Elzar Camper. Fulmer, the handoff. Around the left side, good defensive pursuit. Number 34, John DiPolito, is the ball carrier. The tackler that time for Norristown, Greg, number 25, Terry Powell, from his defensive end position.
Those defensive ends have done such a great job. We'll run down the defense for you real quick. Mike Wilson, Chris Durant, Eric Benitez, Donovan Palmer, and Terry Powell, a great 5 men up front. Of course, the 2 critical linebackers in the system, Jameel Butler and Lou Samba. 2 athletic quarterbacks in Troy Swittenberg and Audley Stewart, and the safeties right now are Trey Hadrick and Sheldon Gray. We'll look for James Edmonds out there, as he's a very tall safety back there who can pick off some passes.
Fulmer now with his squad, 3rd down and 7. The straight drop, then he rolls to the right, looking across the top. Oh, intended for an open receiver that time. That time the intended receiver was number 1, Chris Frank, and Fulmer threw behind him. And I'll tell you what, Frank paid the price. He took a punishing hit after that ball tipped off his fingers.
That was number 9, Trey Hadrick, pursuing him there. Anytime you see a safety covering, safeties are always known for hitting people hard. And when you have an athletic safety who can hit hard, that's even worse for a receiver.
Well, I'll tell you, that one knocked out a filling or two. With 6:23 to play in the first quarter, we are scoreless here at Norristown's Roosevelt Field. The Colonials 3 and out on their first possession, a high snap, but it's taken nicely. It's a low kick. It'll be taken at about the Norristown 34-yard line. Spin move that time by number 4, Ricky Preet. I'll tell you, nice job that time by Preet to sidestep the first tackler. And Greg, I'll tell you, the conditions are worsening here. You see a lot of multicolored umbrellas here in the friendly confines of Roosevelt Field, and I'm impressed at how many people made it today. It is really a miserable day, but a fair number of folks have come out to watch a Thanksgiving Day football game, which was certainly a staple of Thanksgiving Day tradition for many, many years in this area. It's great to have the game back. It's tough that it's under such miserable conditions today. Preet in motion this time. Stewart, the handoff to Swittenberg. Big hole that time off the right side. Good job by the right side of that Norristown line to give Swittenberg some running room.
That's Kirk Berry and Donovan Palmer over on this side. They do such a great job of clearing off the ball. And of course, all 5 of the linemen, they are really the key to getting Swittenberg open. He gets his yardage, but when he is best at getting his yardage once he gets past that offensive line. Once he gets 4 or 5 yards, he starts to create on his own. But to get those first 4 or 5, he needs the 5 horses up front to block for him.
That was 4 yards on that carry, bringing up 2nd and 6 for the Eagles from their own 35-yard line. Preet and Edmonds to the right. Stewart, the handoff to Swittenberg. This time they go left, and there's nothing doing there. Good job by the Colonials on some gang tackling. In on the play, number 33, Joe Fritz. So that, Greg, was no gain on the play. It'll bring up 3rd and 6.
PW seems to have made a nice commitment to, stopping Troy Swittenberg today. A lot of teams think that that's the way that you can stop Norristown. Audley Stewart does throw the ball well, but people really know that the cog in this offense is Troy Swittenberg, and for this team to be successful, he's got to get the ball rolling.
Stewart back to pass. He's got time. Forced out of the pocket, now under pressure, almost slipped up. He's going to run it himself. First down. Great job. Individual effort by Audley Stewart that time. He did have time to pass. Good downfield coverage, and Stewart tucked it up and ran it upfield himself.
And that's what the athleticism at the quarterback position does for you. Audley Stewart, we always talk about that 200-yard rushing game he had last year, and that's a great sign for Norristown. But also, give Audley Stewart a lot of credit. He stayed very composed. He knew the point when he wasn't going to throw the ball. He tucked it away, and he got himself the first down. He knew where the marker was. He got there, and good blocking by Jameel Butler out in front of him.
Joe wants to know what
Stewart on the carry this time around the right side. Picks up more than 10 yards. A first down for Troy Swittenberg. So on the carry, Troy Swittenberg with a nice run off the right side. Picks up an Eagle first down. We'll give him 11 yards on the carry. So the Eagles into Colonial territory for the second time in the early stages of this contest. 4:07 to play here in the first quarter, a scoreless game.
Right now we have Troy Swittenberg at 18 yards. I'm doing double duty today because I want to be the one to let you know, folks, when Troy Swittenberg hits that 45 yards for the 5,000.
Swittenberg up the middle. He's got room this time, and now Swittenberg really turning on the juice. The Colonials had contained him nicely on the first several carries, but a great hole that time, and he picks up 9 yards on the play, bringing up 2nd and 1 for the Eagles.
It looked like Chris Durant and Jameel Butler right there clearing the hole for him. He squirted through that hole. You don't need that big of a hole to get Troy Swittenberg through. The offensive line knows that. They know they just have to stay with their blocks for a couple of seconds. He'll get there, and once he gets through there, you better just look in front of you because he's probably going to be downfield a little bit.
So the Eagles at 2nd and 1 from the Colonial 36-yard line. Again, the receivers to the near side of the field, the backs in the eye. Stewart on the keeper. Good initial penetration, I believe, got him the first down, Greg, but I'll tell you, that was a nice stick by the standout linebacker, number 32, Tim Fleming. He really filled that hole quickly. First down, Eagles. He didn't get much more.
An interesting call on 2nd down. Some coaches, you know, would try and go for it and, you know, maybe throw a 6 or 7 yard pass downfield. You know, Coach Roger Grove electing just to be safe today. Just get your first downs, keep moving the ball down the field. You'll get there eventually. No rush to get into the end zone.
Greg, I think you'll see as this game progresses that the ground game will become more and more critical. The field, you can already see, is starting to get just a little bit muddy. Almost at a break on the exchange. Swittenberg out to the left side. He's going to turn the corner. Good job that time to push him out of bounds by number 15, Elzar Camper. But there's a big gain by Troy Swittenberg from the Norristown 34. We'll give you the actual yardage there in just a moment. They're going to spot it at about the 17-yard line. So, Greg, how many on that carry?
I give him about 15 or 16 on that, which puts him about 42.
Yeah,
means that he probably needs one more carry to get there.
Very impressive. I'll tell you, great run off the left side by Swittenberg. The next carry could be the one that takes Troy Swittenberg over the 5,000 mark. There it is, up the middle. Well, it's going to be tough where they spot it. We have him unofficially as only needing about 2 yards for 5,000 on his career.
1 yard.
And it's tough for a running back because, you know, he goes into the game, he read the paper, he knows that, you know, he knows he's going to get there. Obviously, his focus is to win the football game today. But it's tough for him because he knows that 5,000 is just sitting there. Sometimes you just want to get it out of the way and then go on with the game. It's something that you'll look back at after the game and say, you know, that's a great accomplishment. But you just want to move on. I think his offensive line wants to get it for him, and you know, everybody knows how hard he's worked over 4 years. So
it's an incredible achievement. It really is. We have him at 45 yards now. Well, if they're 3 yards on that last carry. Norristown marching downfield. Stewart back to pass. Good blocking. They go upstairs to the end zone. Open. Oh! Just dropped that time by number 88, Ernie Terrell. What a great pass by Audley Stewart. What a great pass by Audley Stewart. Just phenomenal.
Anytime you can see a quarterback that can float a ball like that to the corner of the end zone in high school, it's absolutely amazing. You know, you can do it on the playground, you can do it in your backyard, but it's really tough when you strap the pads on and step onto a football field to throw that ball. And an amazing throw to Ernie Terrell. He had his man beat to the corner. The safety wasn't over there in time. Terrell, unfortunately, just couldn't hold on to the ball. You might credit that a little bit with the wet conditions, a little bit he was falling backwards, but still a ball that needs to be brought in.
Well, I'll tell you, Norristown now faced with 3rd and 7 from the Colonial 14-yard line. Stewart with the pitch to Swittenberg. Swittenberg slips a bit. He's going to lose a yard on that carry. So with 1:33 to play here in this first quarter, Norristown is faced with 4th down from the Colonial 15-yard line. The officials call timeout. We're going to stop the game here briefly as Norristown Athletic Director Joe Fabrizio is going to present running back Troy Swittenberg with a game ball. Has just reached 5,000 yards for his career.
An amazing accomplishment for Troy Swittenberg, and to really think that over, I guess it's been 2 or 3 years at this point, to think that you can get 5,000 yards, it says 2 things. Number one, how absolutely talented you are, but number 2, how much of a horse you are. You know, when you look at his stats this year, he has well over 200 carries on the year. And, you know, Norristown has played 11 games this year. You're looking at about 20 carries a game. You know, that beats up on you after a little bit. Troy Swittenberg has always tried to come into the game. You know, he had some ankle injuries last year. He stayed with it, though, and, you know, give that young man some congratulations for his accomplishment. He really deserves it. He's one of the, the young men that you look at and you say, yeah, that's a kid I want to see get 5,000 yards because he works so hard, and he's a really nice guy when you talk to him.
Well, I'll tell you, It's an amazing achievement, and I'm sure that Swittenberg would tell you that what matters most is how Norristown fares in this ball game, which is an even better testimony to his personality. Oh, there's good penetration by the Colonials. Stewart slips the tackle, goes up top. Yeah, nice coverage that time by Plymouth-Whitemarsh. Chris Frank there on the corner did a great job on Terrell, and Audley Stewart really was under intense pressure there on that fourth down play. So the Eagles twice now, Greg, have been down deep in Colonial territory and have been thwarted.
Well, on that play was 67 Jermaine Little getting in there, and he didn't make the big play, and he didn't get the sack that he wanted, but he forced the play to do something that it wasn't supposed to do. It forced Audley Stewart to roll out, forced everybody to this side with about 4 D-backs down there, 2 receivers. You know, the numbers were not in Norristown's favor, and a great play right down there by Chris Frank to stay with his man.
That time, the Colonials up the middle with 41 seconds remaining in the quarter, deep in their own territory. Pickup of about 4 on the play brings up 2nd and 6 for the Colonials.
And Jeff, the toughest thing that the rain does is PW wearing those white uniforms. They get brown real quick. It's tough to see the number.
That's true. That's true, Greg. Quarterback Steve Fulmer setting his squad here on this 2nd down play. This is the Colonials' 2nd offensive possession. The back in motion takes it off the right side, and young man, meet Trey Hadrick. He's going to be your best friend today. In on the carry that time, looked like number 21, Bob Travellini, and Trey Hadrick really stuck him hard.
And Trey Hadrick at that safety position, that's his job. He saw the man in motion. Some guys will pursue the other side. Some guys will stay on the side. Trey Hadrick knew that guy was coming around, and he knew if that guy got the ball, he's mine. And Trey Hadrick made a great play right there to stay with him and keep him from getting yards.
And that's the last play of the first quarter. And I'll tell you, Greg, a quickly played quarter. Really didn't see much in the air. It was only 4 possessions in that first quarter. No score on the board. The game really running fairly cleanly. It's just been a bit of footing problems.
Norristown, although it doesn't show on the scoreboard, really dominated that first quarter. They had the drives. Unfortunately, couldn't convert on 2 4th down plays, but they dominated. PW went 3 and out, and now is driving a little bit, but they have a 3rd down play now too. Norristown's got to be happy with their performance so far. Upset that they couldn't convert on 2 4th down plays, but this is something that Coach Grove is going to look at and say, well, just keep plugging away. Eventually, one of those 4th down plays is going to work.